This month, SeniorLiving.Org is honoring people who protested against the Vietnam War, as 55 years ago, on October 21, 1967, the first national protest against that war was held at the Pentagon. Not only was Ann Hirschman Schremp there, but she was also at anti-war protests at the Capitol, in New York City, the 1968 Democratic Convention in Chicago, and even at the Stonewall Inn and Wounded Knee protests. Ann wasn't just there to picket, but to use her skills as a nurse practitioner to help her fellow demonstrators as a street medic, rendering first aid. We'd like to honor this senior citizen for all she has done and let her share her stories with you. Watch as Ann tells us about the first large anti-Vietnam War protest in New York.
I started work after nursing school when I graduated in 1967. I started working with the Vietnam Peace Parade Committee in New York City. And the folks at Vietnam Peace Parade Committee did what we did. And what we did was organize demonstrations. I was always the medic. I was the medic liaison with the medical people. I was frequently the liaison with the National Lawyers Guild people, some of whom also cross-trained as medics, and we cross-trained with the lawyers. And so Vietnam Peace Parade Committee was putting on demonstrations, and they were planning for a ginormous, big demonstration in May of 1967 in New York City, walking up Fifth Avenue, hence the name Fifth Avenue Vietnam Peace Parade Committee was our official name at the time. And as we were organizing for this demonstration, 7 guys in military uniforms walked into the Peace Parade Committee office, an office full of hippies, pacifists, Quakers, not a lot of military folk in the room. And there was a very, very, very deep silence when that happened. And these 7 guys said, we want to march in front of your parade in our uniforms to show that as veterans of the war that is still going on, we object to this war. We think it's wrong. We think it is absolutely illegal. We think this war needs to be stopped, and we're willing to put our bodies in front of a peace demonstration to show that. These were, as far as we know, the first veterans of any United States war to ever protest the war they had just fought in. And they literally knocked people over, and they scared about half the people in the room into a stunned silence. And that's when the head of the head of the board of directors of the Peace Parade Committee looked at me and said, you know, you'll have to be their medic, right? And that's when I met the first 7 members of an organization that still exists. It's called Vietnam Veterans Against the War. And I am on the board of directors of the current Vietnam Veterans Against the War, and I've been a member since that day, since VVAW does not discriminate against people who were not military. So that was the start of VVAW, and it was one of my first big, huge demonstrations in New York City. And we had to use all our skills because people got tear gassed and people got beat up, and it wasn't so much tear gas in New York City because the stuff's heavier than air and they have subways, but they use a lot of pepper spray and stuff. So we got to do the big peace demonstration. I got to work with these guys. These are the most amazing human beings that I still work with, and I will work with them probably until the next life. I'm figuring on a big reunion wherever we go after we are not here anymore.